There has erupted a new war likened to that of World War III, the long-awaited sequel to World War II. But it's a much more cynical. Now, on the one side, you've got the film for the guys, and then on the other side, you got the one for the girls and the left-leaning guys. You have war crimes being committed on both sides. With Barbie, you see men having to dress up as Ken for their girlfriends who are coercing them into seeing the movie. And then with Oppenheimer, you have, well, the hydrogen bomb. So which movie wins? Well, as somebody who has seen both films, I'm here to cast my judgment, starting with Oppenheimer. This movie was very good, and it was definitely one of Mahler's greater films, although I'm skeptical to say that it was his greatest film. Now, first of all, we have an amazing cast. Star celebrity after star celebrity is just showing up at random intervals in this film. Josh Peck showed up. I was like, what? But it worked, because it was funny. In fact, there are so many names and historical figures who are part of this story that if there weren't as many famous celebrities in this film to let me attach a name to a face, I would probably have had trouble understanding who it was. I knew that this guy was this guy, that this guy was this guy, and that this guy was one of these two guys. Speaking of this guy, there's this scene in the trailer where somebody's speaking to him and goes, "Why do I have to stay in the desert?" And the guy's like, "What about because this is the most important thing that you've ever done?" But in the movie, he actually says the F word in that scene. So, you've been forewarned. The guy's like, "Well, Bill told this to Bob, and Bob gave that information to Mob, but Mob didn't want this getting leaked to Mord." Now, obviously, I made those names up, except for Bob. Oppenheimer goes to UC Berkeley at one point. I'm like, darn, kinda wish I went to UC Berkeley now, because, no films being made about 1940s U of I. Now, this cost $100 million to make, the film, that is. The practical effects in this were absolutely amazing. The way that the actors made Robert Downey Jr. look as though he was balding, etc. was really impressive to see. And there are only few opportunities that we'll ever get to see things like this being made on screen, because fewer attempts are being made at realism today because of CGI, AI, also legal stuff. Like you couldn't make Lawrence of Arabia today. They even had Albert Einstein played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, how? The characters seemed a little bit two-dimensional at times. While the politicians were these mean, nasty guys, Oppenheimer was this fragile figure, but I'm sure it was more nuanced than that. It was very emotionally manipulative in that regard. Another problem I had with this movie was when Einstein's hat flew off his head. Now, this happened like 3 times, and I was like, okay, come on, you're the most genius person in the world. So yeah, I kind of wish they just stapled that thing onto Einstein's head. Luckily, he did get another hat that had less of a surface area, so that's good. One last thing that bugged me about the film is the scene when they had Oppenheimer do the whip and nay-nay. I don't know why they included that. Now, as for Barbie, I actually didn't.